Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jaya Mudiraye. Tato Jaya Mudiraye. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke. Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. We are reading from Canto 5, Chapter 14, text number 32. Kvachid drumavad ehi kartheshu graheshu ramsyan yatha vanara suta dara vatsalo vyavaya shanaha. Word to word meanings. Kvachit, sometimes. Drumavat, like trees. As monkeys jump from one tree to another. The conditioned soul transmigrates from one body to another. Ahika artheshu, simply to bring about better worldly comforts. Graheshu, in house or bodies. Ramsyan, delighting. In one body after another. Either in animal life, human life or demigod life. Yatha, exactly as. Vanaraha, the monkey. Suta Dara Vatsalaha, very affectionate to the children and wife. Vyavaya Shanaha, whose leisure time is spent in sex pleasure. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Just as a monkey jumps from one tree to another, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another. As the monkey is ultimately captured by the hunter and is unable to get out of captivity, the conditioned soul, being captivated by momentary sex pleasure, becomes attached to different types of bodies and is engaged in family life. Family life affords the conditioned soul a festival of momentary sex pleasure, and thus he is completely unable to get out of the material clutches. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishaya Khalu Sarvata Syat. Bodily necessities, eating, sleeping, mating and defending, are all very easily available in any form of life. It is stated here that Vanara, monkey, is very much attracted to sex. Each monkey keeps at least 24 wives, and he jumps from one tree to another to capture the female monkeys. Thus he immediately engages in sexual intercourse. In this way, the monkey's business is to jump from one tree to another and enjoy sex with his wives. The conditioned soul is doing the same thing, transmigrating from one body to another and engaging in sex. He thus completely forgets how to become free from the clutches of material engagement. Sometimes the monkey is captured by a hunter who sells its body to doctors so that its glands can be removed for the benefit of another monkey. All this is going on in the name of economic development and improved sex life. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakhanvitam Sha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaur Tushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tam Ham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing this verse number 32 from the chapter Great Forest of Material Enjoyment. So this verse again, this talks about sex life, that how the monkey in the form of monkey also, the monkey enjoys sex life, jumping from one tree to another. And same way it compares the conditioned soul, that how the conditioned soul is also jumping from one body to another just for this pleasure. So now we all know every verse in this chapter has a connection with the previous chapter as well. In previous chapter something was told by Parikshit Shukdev Goswami or by Jad Bharat to Rahugana, and that is being explained in this chapter. So now this verse is compared to the verse number 18th of the previous chapter. In that it was explained, Drumeshu Ramsyam Sutadara Vatsalo Vyavaya Dino Vivashaha Swabandhane. So it was mentioned Drumeshu, that in the trees, Ramsyam Sutadara Vatsalo. Ramsyam means enjoying. Sutadara Vatsalo means Suta is children, Dara is wife, and Vatsala all the family members that are there. So the comparison is given in the previous word. It was told about how the monkey enjoys in these trees with all these different family members, with all the children and wife. And same way a householder or a conditioned soul enjoys in his family life. How he enjoys, he becomes attached, entangled to these people, Sutadara Vatsalo, Vyavaya Dino. Vyavaya means the sex pleasure. So he becomes very, very poor-hearted, or he becomes a kripana. He doesn't take interest in spiritual life because of too much attachment to sex pleasure. And because of that, what happens? Vivashaha swabandhane. He becomes entangled in his own fruitive activities, in his own chain of fruitive activities, in the bondage of reaction of one's own activities. So this was explained told in the previous chapter, and now the comparison is made that just like the monkey who keeps so many dozen wives, keeps on enjoying with them, goes from one tree to another in search of different female monkeys, and keeps on enjoying in those trees. And similarly, a conditioned soul, that tree is compared to a house. How a conditioned soul also keeps on enjoying in different houses with different family members, so-called family members. And again in next life, he jumps to another tree or another house. He takes another birth and again he keeps on enjoying. And this is how the conditioned soul becomes entangled in this material world. So now we see this entire chapter or these entire verses that are being explained. It helps us explain or understand this real world or the things that are happening in this real world through the eyes of the scriptures. That how we can see whatever events happen around us, how people are entangled in different things, and what view we can get from the scriptures about it, or what we can understand through the eyes of the scripture, or through the eyes of the acharyas. Like these great acharyas, or like Srila Prabhupada has given commentary for this. So we see entire world, we have talked about this before also, that the topmost enjoyment in this material world is sex life. And that is the reason people in this world are entangled. People in this world are entangled and they keep on taking one after the other births. And our entire process of devotional service, or our entire process, is to get out of this entanglement, or get out of this thing that entangles everyone in this material world. And that's why Lord Chaitanya, who has given his entire philosophy or given this path of devotional service, the main thing is param dishtva nivartate. They're getting a higher taste in this process. Because that's definitely mentioned, unless a person gets a higher taste, it's not at all possible to get rid of the lower taste. Like the example of a deceased person is given, a person when he is deceased, and he's told some restrictions that you should not eat this, you should not do that, and those things. He might follow for certain time. He might follow the rules and regulations for certain time, but that doesn't mean the taste is given up. Even when he is deceased, that desire will be there that I want to enjoy. I want to get fit, I want to get rid of this disease, and finally I want to enjoy all these items. And similarly, if we just artificially try to curtail the senses, artificially try to avoid these objects, naturally desire won't go away. Desire will always be there, that one point of time I want to enjoy. And that's why Prabhupada condemns all the other yogic processes that are there. Why he speaks so much about Ashtanga Yoga, the futility of Ashtanga Yoga, or all other yogic processes, especially in this age. Because these yogic processes, there is no higher taste these people get. They try to curtail their senses, they try to stop all the sensory activities. But then ultimately they are not able to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. They don't get that higher pleasure that is there. And ultimately they end up falling down, or they fall down from their position. And rather the spiritualist, they always get a higher taste. They get such a higher taste that they automatically become detached from these material things. Like we know the example of Shukdev Goswami also. How he remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years. And he had no desire of going out, because he was worried that he might get entangled. They have no desire at all to come in contact with sense objects. Like the conditioned souls, they have too much desire that I want to enjoy more and more, I want to have more and more association with sense objects. But great spiritualists, they have other desire. They don't want to get entangled at all. And even we know when Shukdev Goswami came out of the womb, he just left. He just left his home, and his father was running out of him. His father was calling out, Putreti, oh my son, where are you going? But he didn't listen, he went away. Of course, in that pastime, later on he comes back, for that was even for a higher enjoyment. That is when he heard some shlokas about the activities of the Supreme Lord. So he was an impersonalist before he was a Brahmavadi. And later when he heard those shlokas about the activities, about the merciful nature of the Lord, beautiful form of the Lord, that's what he got attracted to, and he came back to listen. Basically getting a higher taste. At every step, getting some higher taste to get rid of the lower taste. Same way we see in this purport also, Prabhupada writes a very, very amazing shloka. Or in the purport, the first line, he speaks about this. Vishaya khalu sarvata syat. Vishaya is sense gratification, or the sense objects that we enjoy. And here he says, Vishaya kalu sarvata syat, that in all kinds of bodies, any kind of body we can get sense gratification. It's not limited to one kind of body, or only human beings can enjoy sense gratification. Whichever kind of body we have, whichever kind of animal it is, everyone is doing the same things. And what are the 4 things? As it's given here, the things which everyone does: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And how here Prabhupada clearly writes that is available in any form of life. He gives the example of monkeys. That how monkeys are very much attracted to sex. They keep on running after one tree, from one tree to another, and so on and so forth, just for the pleasure of this. And then in different purports, Prabhupada gives the example of many different animals. Many times he gives the examples of hog eating stool, that how they are so much attracted to that thing, and that is a sense enjoyment for them. We might feel obnoxious, we might feel what dirty thing they are doing, but that is their sense enjoyment. And they feel happy, they feel satisfied. That's why Prabhupada used to say they become so fat. because they like eating that stool. So the point is that the point that is made here, that sense gratification is available in all different species, not just in human life, in all the different species. And here the example of monkey is given, and this also Prabhupada lights, and this I was hearing in multiple lectures also, that how the glands are also replaced, just so that human beings can also enjoy more and more pleasure. Because their glands are very, very powerful, and that's why in some countries they are replaced to the older people who don't have that much power, so that they can also enjoy this kind of sense gratification more and more. Because ultimately the purpose is, they don't have any other higher goal in life or higher purpose in life. Their only things are restricted, or only needs are restricted to these 4 things, that are eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And that's why this Prabhupada quotes the shloka 11.9.29, very, very amazing shloka. So we'll just recite this once and try to discuss this. So you can repeat after me. Labdva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavante manushya martadam anitya piha dhira turnam yateta napatet anumritya yavan patet anumritya nishreyasaya vishaya khalu sarvatasya. So this is the shloka which Prabhupada is quoting in that purport, and he quotes just the last line, that how sense gratification is available in all forms of life. And this shloka especially points out about the rarity of human form of life, that how it is a great fortune that we have got this human form of life. It's very, very rare also, very, very difficult to obtain. Basically that's what it says, labdva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhava ante. That after many, many births, after going through many, many species of life, as we already know that how 84 million species of life are there, and a person, a living entity, keeps on going in that cycle of evolutionary cycle from one life to another life, and finally after many, many births, he comes to this human form of life. And this is very, very rare. This is very, very difficult to obtain, and it's very, very rare. And why it's rare? Because manushyam arthadam anityam apiha dhira. Because this life we can attain, or this life, human form of life, awards us the greatest value. Or we can obtain the highest benediction, highest value or highest goal in this human form of life. But still it is anityam, it's temporary. If we don't utilize it for that purpose, one day it will go away and again we'll fall down in that evolutionary cycle. Again we'll have to go through many, many births, again we'll have to spend a lot of time in this material world, doing just those 4 activities. Eating, sleeping, mating and defending, which again doesn't satisfy anyone. And again we'll be stuck in this cycle. That's why this human life, so much is spoken about this importance of human life, that why this is very, very rare and very, very important. And that's why in the shloka it says, Turnam yateta na patet anumrityu yavan. That before the end of the life comes, or before coming to the last moment of this life, immediately at this point of time, one should endeavor for practicing devotional service. One should try to practice devotional service very, very intensely, because we never know when the last moment comes, or when death comes and all the chance or this opportunity is taken away from us. So again, that's what this very, very amazing shloka which speaks the same thing, that how Vishaya or the sense gratification is being enjoyed by everyone. That is not a big thing. Even the lower animals are enjoying, as we discussed, monkeys are enjoying, dogs are enjoying. In one of the purport Prabhupada lies, even the house flies are very, very busy. They also, why they multiply very rapidly? Because they are also busy in this enjoyment. So everyone is very, very busy in this enjoyment, but this human form of life is given for a higher purpose or a higher cause. And that's why in 5th canto the description comes that even the demigods are desiring to get a human form of life. Even they are praying that they get this human form of life. Now the question comes that why are they praying? They have a better facility for sense gratification, better facility for enjoyment. Why do they want to take human birth? And the only thing is because this is the chance to practice pure devotional service. Even though they are also devotees, demigods are also devotees of the Supreme Lord. We see in many pastimes in the Bhagavatam, whenever something happens between the demigods and the demons, whenever some clash happens, demons are the ones who always rely on their own strength. Or they rely on some demigods. They'll worship some demigods like Hiranyakashipu worship Lord Brahma, Ravan worship Lord Shiva. They'll rely on the strength taken by those demigods, by those different demigods. But demigods always depend on the Supreme Lord. At every point, they will take shelter of the Supreme Lord and they'll go to guidance from the Supreme Lord. But still, they are desiring human form of life, though they are devotees. And the point is, though they are devotees, they still have some material desires. They are not unmotivated or pure, unalloyed devotees of the Lord. And it's described in those planetary systems, in the higher planetary systems, the facility of sense gratification is so high, so great that to become pure devotees is very, very difficult. Although some do become, but it's very, very difficult. And that's why even they desire to get a human form of life just so that they can also attain the highest perfection, highest goal of life. That is attaining eternal and loving service of the Supreme Lord. And we see in many, many pastimes this has been made evident, like one of the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj. When he was performing the horse sacrifices, Ashwamedh Yagyas. So we know a person who performs 100 Ashwamedh Yagya, he gets the position of Indra. And Prithu Maharaj, in that pastime it comes, he had performed 99 complete successfully, 99 Ashwamedh Yagyas. And now Indra was worried. If he does one more, then my position is gone. Or I'll be removed from my position. And then what he does, he comes and steals the horse of Prithu Maharaj. And that is a long pastime where Prithu Maharaj gets very, very angry, and then Brahma comes and intervenes, sorts out the situation. Sorry, not the Supreme Lord himself comes and intervenes, sorts out the situation. But the point that is made is still even the demigods have material desires. They are also enjoying sense gratification. But then they are also not satisfied. Unless, and that's why they also desire to take this human form of life to attain the highest perfection. That is engagement in the service of the engagement in the loving service of the Lord. So that is what is mentioned here, that how sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life. Everywhere, when it comes to higher planetary systems, lower planetary systems, abominable species of life, everywhere everyone has the facility to enjoy sense gratification. And everyone feels this is the highest, or I am enjoying the best thing. They don't feel that, oh, I am in this body, I am not able to enjoy that much as the other person in human body or something like that. Everyone is put into illusion and everyone feels they are enjoying nicely their lives. We know that pastime when Indra became a hog, and he also started thinking that he is enjoying nicely. And Lord Brahma came and wanted to take him up to the higher planetary systems. And he said, no, I am satisfied here, I am happy with my family, I don't want to go back to the position of Indra. So we see how everyone in every form of life becomes so engrossed in this illusion, feeling that he is enjoying his life nicely, and they miss the rare chance of practicing Krishna consciousness, or they are not able to take up this practice of devotional service. And that's why, as it's mentioned in this shloka, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. And that's why this amazing shloka speaks about that how one should quickly take up devotional service. One should not wait for anything. One should not think that, okay, next month I'll take, or next year I'll take, or from this age I'll take. At 50 years I'll start practicing, or one should not wait for retirement for practicing devotional service. Quickly, as soon as he gets the information, he should start practicing. And how he should start practicing? Not little bit, intense devotional service. Because he doesn't know when the last moment will come, when death will come and take everything away. And then only thing that will matter is how much devotional service is performed, or how much he has advanced in Krishna consciousness. And same thing we see even in the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. When Prahlad Maharaj, he was preaching to his schoolmates, he was giving the teachings of Krishna consciousness to his schoolmates. So there also this question was asked that children, they were all young people, and Prahlad Maharaj himself was 5 years old. And everyone others were saying that this is a time to play. This is a time to enjoy life. We are talking about Krishna consciousness and all these things. And there also Prahlad Maharaj quotes this very amazing shloka. He says, Kaumara acharet pragyo dharman bhagvatan iha durlabham manusham janma tad api adruvam arthadam. He also says the same thing, that when should devotional service be performed? He says one who is intelligent, one who has some brain substance, he should use the human form of life right from the tender age of childhood. Right from the beginning, he should practice devotional service. Devotional service cannot wait for anything. It cannot wait for growing old. It cannot wait for some or the other thing in material circumstances. It has to be practiced right from the young age, very, very young age. That is what even Prahlad Maharaj speaks, the importance of practicing devotional service, that it cannot wait for anything. And then he also says that human body is most rarely achieved. And although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful. So all of the bodies we know in this material world, every life is temporary. We get a human form of life, we get an animal form of life. Even if we go to demigods planet, all the lives are temporary. But then the human form of life has the highest meaning. Because even though it's temporary, we can attain the highest perfection of devotional service if we take to Krishna consciousness, or if we take to devotional service. And that is what Prahlad Maharaj tells them, that we are already late. They were telling, okay, we have a lot of time, we can play, we can enjoy nicely. And Prahlad Maharaj is saying, no, we are already late. We have wasted so much time. We cannot waste even a single moment more. Immediately we should take and we should practice intense Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhupada in the translation he writes, even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service. That if a person takes to devotional service and let's say something happens, he's not able to complete the process, or he dies untimely, he's not able to achieve, he's not able to go very advanced, very high in devotional service. But if he has practiced devotional service sincerely, then Lord will take care. Or then Lord will help him attain the highest perfection. And we see this in many of the Prabhupada disciples also. We discuss about the example of Jayanand Prabhu, the first initial disciples of Prabhupada, who was very, very sincere in his practice. Though it was not he lived for long, he practiced for 10-12 years, not more than that. But he was so sincere, so serious in his practice of devotional service that Prabhupada himself said that he went back to Vaikuntha. If he is free from material desires, he would have gone back to Vaikuntha. And that's why Prabhupada introduced his name even in the Vaishnava calendar, that his disappearance should be celebrated like any other Vaishnava, any other Vaishnavacharyas. So that is what is mentioned, that even a slight amount of sincere devotional service that is performed can help one attain the complete perfection. And that is why in the past we had this Gurukul system of education. And why Prabhupada stressed so much on this education, that there should be Gurukuls, there should be this system of education, so that right from childhood the person can be trained. Trained not in sense gratification, but how to control his senses. How to become a man of character, how to control his mind, how to control his senses and advance nicely, get some nice sanskaras to practice devotional service throughout. Whereas what we see in the current system of education is just the opposite. People are just trained in sense gratification on how to enjoy their senses nicely, how to earn money and how to enjoy nicely. And then they get deviated from the path of devotional service. Then it becomes very, very difficult for them to practice devotional service, to take up devotional service. And even if they take up devotional service, so many samskaras keep on haunting them that they are not able to continue for long, or those samskaras pull them back out of devotional service. And that's why it's mentioned here in many, many different purports. Prabhupada speaks the same thing, that how it is very, very important to practice devotional service. If not at tender age, as soon as we come to know, or as soon as we get that information, as soon as we come to devotional service, we should take it up very, very sincerely and seriously. And that is what is mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, that advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. That how sincere a person is, how his attitude is, how much he will be able to advance. It's not mentioned that advancement depends on the number of years we spent in Krishna consciousness or the time we spend, but how much sincerely a person takes to the process, how much sincerely a person practices. And that is what is mentioned even in the shloka. It talks about that importance. Another thing that is given focused, or that is highlighted here, is about the importance of association of devotees. So in the shloka, labdava sudarlabham idam bahu sambhava ante, in the purport, Prabhupada highlights about the importance of association of devotees also. He speaks about how it is very, very important to always be in the association of devotees. Otherwise, there are so many dangers of fall down. And one of the things he mentions is being discouraged by one's failure to understand the absolute truth. One may return to the false platform of sense gratification. If a person is not under guidance, if a person is not under proper association, and let's say he takes up to this path of devotional service, he starts practicing devotional service, he starts putting all his endeavors. But then if he is not able to attain something, if he doesn't get some realizations, and that thought automatically comes that I'm practicing so sincerely, I'm doing everything, but I'm not getting any realizations. If that time a person is not under correct guidance or not under association, then Prabhupada himself warns that one may return to the false platform of sense gratification. One may leave the path of devotional service and one may think better to enjoy outside. Here there is, anyways, they say that there is so much enjoyment, but I'm not feeling anything. And that's how the person will get deviated from this path. And so Prabhupada points out about the importance of association of devotees. I was hearing one senior devotee was saying that in the initial years, it's very, very important to associate with some superior senior devotee, because we need to learn so many things in devotional service. So it's very, very important that we learn, take guidance from a senior devotee. We learn the different aspects under him, and we practice whatever is told, we practice it nicely. And then he was sharing that after a good number of years, when we have spent more than a good number of years in Krishna consciousness, then it becomes very, very important to associate with peers, to have a nice association with peers and discuss the different activities we are practicing. And at all points he mentioned that association is very, very necessary. Nowhere it can happen that we can say that now I'm perfect or now I have advanced a lot and we don't need any association. Even in neophyte level, even in the beginning, or even after spending a good number of years, association is very, very important. Otherwise, there is a huge chance that a person might slip under the attack or might get attacked by Maya, and he might not be able to save himself unless someone comes and pulls him up. So that is what it mentioned, that being discouraged, one may return to the false platform of sense gratification. And also in the association, what are the 6 sanghas that are favorable? Like here it mentioned, a person becomes discouraged. So one of the 6 things that is mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, 6 things which are very, very important for practicing pure devotional service. And one of them is Utsahan, being very, very enthusiastic in devotional service. Always being enthusiastic, always, or Prabhupada translates as they were telling in the Bhakti Shastri, endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. That is meant by Utsahan. That being enthusiastic and also enthusiastic in under guidance, or doing things or endeavoring with complete intelligence in Krishna consciousness. And as Prabhupada explains, that knowing the art of utilizing everything in the Lord's service. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya uchyate. That knowing the art of yukta vairagya, or how to engage different objects that are there in the practice of devotional service. That is meant by Utsahan, or being always enthusiastic. And that can only happen when we associate with those devotees who are always enthusiastic, or who know the right skills to advance, or who know the right endeavor to put in Krishna consciousness. And there Prabhupada explains, he says that our process is not just some idle meditation, that we just sit somewhere and we meditate, or we just chant the holy names completely throughout. Of course, that is expected at a later stage. But the process initially is some practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. That one has to practically execute spiritual life, do some endeavor for spiritual life, and that endeavor should always be under guidance. That endeavor should be always in guidance, so that a person executes that endeavor with intelligence and he is able to advance in Krishna consciousness. And there are many examples that are given, like one very senior devotee, he was sharing. So in his initial days when he joined the ashram, so before that he had some exposure to other institutions like Ramakrishna Mission and all those things. So when he joined, he thought that vairagya means, or ashram life means complete vairagya, complete detachment from anything else. And then he was sharing that one time he went to another temple with another devotees. And then they had to go to the 10th floor of that building. There was a huge temple that was there. They had to go to some 8th or 9th floor. And that devotee started climbing in the lift. And this devotee, he was new devotee, he had some other kind of thought. He said, "Arey, what's the use of going in lift? We should go by walk. We are young and we are complete detached from all these things. We should not use these things." And the other devotee told him that if we go by lift, we'll go in 1 minute. And if you go by walk, you will take 10 minutes to reach there. You will waste 9 minutes, which you can use in some service for the Lord. And then the devotee said, yeah, that made sense. So he climbed the lift. So then they went upstairs, and then there was a meeting going on. So in that meeting, he went there and he saw all the saffron devotees were sitting. There was a meeting going on, all the saffron devotees were there, and they were sitting with their laptops. And now this devotee he saw, and he was like, I have seen devotees, I have seen sadhus, and I have seen laptop also. But together I have never seen what is going on here. Or I have not seen sadhus with laptops. What are they doing here? And then the other devotee told him that they are also using laptops. They also use all the facilities which other people use. But then they use all the facilities not for playing games or not for watching movies, but for engaging in Krishna's service, or but for doing things so that they can preach the message more and more. And this is what is meant by endeavor executed with intelligence, that enthusiasm of being utsahan in Krishna consciousness. The second pillar that is mentioned is dharyat. Sorry, utsahan nishchayat. Second pillar is nishchayat, or being very, very confident. So in that also, the example is given of a newly married girl. Like a newly married girl who gets married to a husband. So it's not that the day when she gets married and she starts expecting or she starts demanding that I want a child right away. It's not, it doesn't work like that. It's not possible. But naturally, as Prabhupada writes in that purport also, naturally if a newly married girl, she waits, she serves her husband. Naturally with time she'll beget a child. That is a natural thing that will happen. But something cannot be demanded immediately. And same example he gives for a devotee. When he practices devotional service, when he starts practicing, when he starts surrendering to the Supreme Lord, so he has to be very, very confident. Very, very confident about what? Very, very confident about the shelter of the Lord, that Lord will protect me in all the circumstances. Or as he mentioned, avashya rakshive Krishna. The devotee has to be very, very confident that Lord will take care no matter whatever happens. And my duty is to just practice devotional service. Lord will give me the required help of whatever is needed for my successful execution of Krishna consciousness, or successful execution of devotional service. And this is called as nishchayat, or being very, very confident in the practice of devotional service. Just keep on surrendering and just keep on practicing devotional service with that confidence that the Lord will do what is needful, or Lord will take care of whatever is required. And that's why all these pillars become very, very important, especially the association of devotees become very, very important, so that in that association we can practice all these different aspects which are favorable for pure devotional service, which are favorable for advancing in pure devotional service. So we discussed about utsaha, endeavor executed with intelligence. We discussed about nishchayat, that is confidence. Being always confident that my duty is to serve the Lord, to surrender unto the Lord, and Lord will protect, Lord will take care whatever is needed. And the third one is dharyat, being very, very patient. And in this purport I was reading, Prabhupada gives his own example. And we all know, we were discussing recently about how Prabhupada himself was so patient in his endeavor, in his practice of Krishna consciousness. Many times others, when they read about Prabhupada Leelamrita or how much Prabhupada struggled, they ask that, how come Prabhupada was struggling so much? Why didn't the Lord help and all these things? But then Prabhupada never questioned like that. Prabhupada continued trying, and see, things are different. Now we all know that mission is established, everything is there. But the initial days when Prabhupada was struggling, he didn't know that one day it will happen. Like, of course he knew, but externally no one could make out that one day so much big things will happen, ISKCON will be created and so much preaching will be widespread. But still he was patient and he was continually executing the instructions of his spiritual master. And two instructions were given to him, same instructions, that preaching in English language, and whenever you get money, print books. And we see how much patient he was in his practice in following the instructions of his spiritual master. First, he struggled a lot, as we read also, he struggled a lot in India. He was struggling, going to different places just to set up some organization. He even set up that League of Devotees in Jhansi, but it couldn't sustain for long. It has to be shut down. In his material life also, he was struggling. His shop was stolen by someone. So many things were going on, but he still continued his practice of devotional service. He was sure that the Lord will take care, or his spiritual master will help. And that's how the movement will spread. And he was just busy executing the words of his spiritual master, or trying to execute, putting his serious endeavor in executing the words of his spiritual master. And at the same time being patient, that no matter what, my duty is to keep trying. And that's why first he tried in India, and even when he went to the West, he kept on struggling for a long time. But then literally after 1 year in the West, he actually finally succeeded. He was able to start, and people started taking up the mission. So that is what is talked about, dharyat. That being patient in the execution of devotional service, that one or the other day it will give its result. Or if we are sincere, if we are serious in the practice of devotional service, the results will definitely come, but we have to be patient. We cannot demand that immediately it should happen. So this is how we see in this verse, it's explained that all these things are very, very important for the continued practice of devotional service. That is utsaha, nishchayat, dharyat. Then there is tat karma pravartanat. That is obviously following the rules and regulations. We have some vidhis, we have some nishedas, we have some yam which we have to follow, like the 4 regulative principles and all these things. Yeah, and then the niyams like chanting the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and whatever other things we follow. So that comes in the Tattat Karma Pravatara, that following the rules and regulations that are prescribed in devotional service. And then of course Sangha Tyaga, giving up the association, as I already mentioned, taking the association of devotees, taking the association of people who are practicing Krishna consciousness and giving up the association of non-devotees. And then Satovritya finally, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. By reading all these books of Prabhupada, following the same footsteps or trying to follow the instructions given in the books. When we do all these things, then a person can successfully practice pure devotional service. The Nishedas, the 6 things that have to be avoided and 6 things that have to be followed in the association of devotees, then a person can advance in the practice of pure devotional service. And that is what is given here, that is very much needed. Unless a person practices pure devotional service, unless a person has all these qualities or tries to endeavor for all these qualities, then the person will slip down to the lower path of sense gratification. Because if a person is not enthusiastic, if a person is not confident, it is only time that is separating which time he'll get the desire and he'll just move out and he'll just feel that it's better to endeavor outside. It's better endeavor outside, will get something substantial. And here I'm not getting something substantial because these things are missing. So this is how it's explained that all these 6 things are very, very important for a person to practice pure devotional service. And finally, Prabhupada writes that in conclusion, human life is meant for cultivating Krishna consciousness under the guidance of experienced, self-realized devotees of the Lord. So that is what the sum and substance, that one has to practice Krishna consciousness, but always has to be under guidance of some devotees, always have to be under guidance of advanced devotees or self-realized devotees of the Lord. Because they can only help us where we are stuck or where we are lacking, and they can help us remove those things and rise ahead or advance in Krishna consciousness. And we have many such examples of people who have pure consciousness and they are hardly concerned with anything of this world. When they have got the higher taste, they become indifferent to their bodily needs. Like we have one of our acharyas, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So one very famous, I was hearing one of his pastime that he started getting cataract in his eyes. He started getting cataract, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was telling him that you get it operated, get it removed, and why you are not getting treated. But Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj had taken a vow, no, I won't go to a doctor. Whatever happened to this body, I don't care. My business, I'll just practice Krishna consciousness. And with time, as he started turning old, his vision became more and more weak. His vision actually started reducing. But still, he had taken a vow, he was determined not to go to the hospital. Because he said that Lord will take care, whatever is materially needed, I won't endeavor for that end. And how a person can do all this, how a person can be so determined? Just because he had actually experiencing a higher taste. He doesn't need the vision of these senses, or he doesn't need to enjoy something with his eyes or some sense objects, because he's already seeing something higher, or he's already experiencing something higher. And same thing we see with so many examples. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is one of them. Bilwa Mangal Thakur is another, who again became blind, who himself took those pins and he removed his eyes. But still he was the most blissful person ever. Lord personally came him and took him to Vrindavan. And he was engaged in practicing Krishna consciousness. So how these people who have those advanced developed consciousness, they are not engaged just like these monkeys. They are not engaged in all these lower kind of sense gratification, lower kinds of enjoyment in sexual activities and all these things. And they are happy even without their senses. We know in this world the most dangerous thing is the senses, which pull us towards sense gratification. And these personalities, they have all the facilities to actually protect their senses, but they are not concerned. Rather, they willingly remove their senses, as we know in case of Bilwa Mangal Thakur and all these examples. They are willingly removing those, getting rid of them, because they have something higher. They are not looking for pleasures of these senses. And that's why only by getting a higher taste, as it's mentioned in this shloka, only by that practice a person can get rid of this desire for sense enjoyment, desire for sex life. Otherwise, as it's mentioned here, sometimes the monkey is captured by a hunter who sells its body to doctors so that its glands can be removed for the benefit of another monkey. So actually Prabhupada means benefit of another human being. The glands are removed and they are transplanted into some human being because they want to enjoy more and more sex life. And that's why another monkey, that is a human being, that also wants to enjoy because they have not tasted any higher enjoyment. So here, this is one class of people who are the materialist, completely engrossed in this enjoyment because they haven't tasted something higher. And the other class of people who have facilities to get their senses cured, but yet they are not concerned about this material body. Yet they are not concerned whatever happens to their body because they are experiencing, or they are on a higher platform altogether. And even for that matter, even Prabhupada himself, in his last days of life, I was hearing his body had become very, very weak. His entire body had become very, very thin, very, very fragile and very, very thin. And yet he was busy just executing, just translating Srimad Bhagavatam and engaging in all his services. And many devotees invited that, let us take you to this place, let us take you to the West, you can get much better facilities for treatment, you can get treated nicely, you can eat nicely, you can have nice, at least some okay health, not nice, but at least you can survive nicely, you won't suffer a lot. But Prabhupada was ready to take all the troubles because he wanted to stay in Vrindavan, because he wanted to continue in his service. And that's why he never cared, or he never put much endeavor to solve the conditions of his material body. And this is how we see a person who has tasted that higher happiness, he is not concerned with this lower kind of engagements. On the other hand, materialists that are always there, they are always planning how I can enjoy my sex life or how I can enjoy my senses more and more. And that's why they become fearful. A materialist becomes fearful as soon as he grows old. As soon as his senses become weak, he becomes very, very fearful. But a devotee of the Lord, he is hardly concerned. Like we have one example even in the Bhagavatam of Yayati Maharaj, who was cursed by Shukracharya. Who was cursed by Shukracharya that may you get an old body, or you become old because you are too lusty. And then he got that curse and he started going to his own children, asking them to engage their youth or transfer their youth to him, and so that they can take his old age and transfer their youth to him. Just because he was very, very lusty, he wanted to enjoy more and more. And even after in that same pastime, he realized that even after his youngest son, that is Puru, he agreed to give him his youthful body. He got that youthful body. His son took the old age from him, or his son took that old body that was there. Even after getting that youthful body, he enjoyed with Devyani, that is the daughter of Shukracharya, for a long, long years, for thousands of years. He enjoyed nicely, enjoyed his senses to the fullest extent. He was very, very strong, very, very powerful. But even after doing for so many years, finally he was dissatisfied. Finally, he was not satisfied by that, and finally he said that this material sense gratification cannot give us satisfaction. No matter how much we enjoy here, how much sense gratification we do, we cannot become satisfied unless we taste some higher pleasure or unless we get some higher enjoyment. This is how we see even in the Bhagavatam, even in real life, so many examples of people trying to enjoy in this way, but then they never get satisfied. They are continuously hankering for more and more. And ultimately, unless a person takes to this devotional service, practices devotional service in the association of devotees, following all these different regulations like being utsahan, being enthusiastic, being patient, being determined, there becomes so many chances or dangers of his falling down and going back on the same path. So it's very, very important to take to devotional service intensely as soon as we come to know, because now we cannot go back to our tender age. So as soon as we get the information, to take it to it seriously and also continue practicing in the association of devotees. Otherwise, as all these people are trying, we'll also keep on trying all these things, but we will not get satisfied by all those kinds of endeavors. So with that, I would like to pause here and we can end this.
Can you repeat once again?
Huh?
After Dhairya, you told me.
Utsaha Nishya Dhairya Tat Karma Pravartanat. Tat Karma Pravartanat means following the vidhis and the nishedas, following the rules and regulations that are prescribed. Anything you want to ask something? Okay. Can share points.
Krishna Prabhu, really very nice lecture. So many realizations. Just like a monkey does enjoy, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another for the pleasure of like 4 pleasures which we can get from any body: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. conditioned soul jumps from one body to another for the same pleasure. Because of too much sense pleasure, he, uh, uh, he gets entangled for family life because of poor heart. Uh, Artificial holding of sense enjoyment cannot give us higher taste. Uh, in all kinds of bodies, we can enjoy sense gratification. Probably in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29, reality of human life was explained because we get it after 84 million species. We cannot get highest goal in life. It is very rare and also temporary. So we should intensely do devotional service because we don't know when we will die. Um, One more point which I really like this, Guruji. Um, like even if one practices devotional service sincerely, but if until and unless he doesn't get any realization, there is always a chance that he might, yeah, he might think that he want to go another place, and then so that's the main reason of having devotion, having devotee association. And 6 points of tetra of instructions. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the nice class. And the last point was very nice, that about Devaji Maharaj. He enjoyed his gratification for thousands of years, but still he is not satisfied with them. So since gratification will not give the satisfaction of the heart, only pure devotion service will be given. So how to do the pure devotion service, you nicely mentioned all the 6 aspects which are favorable in Saha, Dairya, Nishya. So one has to follow this. And you told how Srila Prabhupada has all these wonderful qualities. Enthusiastic, patience is practicing. So to do this, one has to get the higher taste. If there is no higher taste, one will can leave the body. So one should aspire for higher taste. And this is the human form of life we are getting. And it's very, very rare. So one has to take the bhakti very seriously and practice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the nice class. So everyone with learn with intelligence is called enthusiasm. So utilizing everything in the service of the Lord, that is real enunciation, not giving up things falsely. And even demigods have material desires, and everybody is satisfied in their condition of life, and they think they are the one who is enjoying the most, and they are found in this material world. And until one has higher realizations, higher taste, they cannot, will not be satisfied with this.
Thanks for the nice Prabhu. You told so many nice points. So, like we should try to practice devotional service intensely, because we do not know when we are going to die. Any moment death can come, and we should not waste a single moment. And like a slight one moment also is very important. And with enthusiastic told living that India with complete intelligence and self-consciousness.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the nice class. So, you explained the policy of other yoga processes. Not just because other yoga processes, it does not, their process is simple, they stay away from sense objects, and then their process is dry, so they have very high chance of fall down. Whereas this devotional service, they don't have such sense restriction, but they engage senses in a correct way. That's why devotional service becomes very, very easier than the yoga processes.
Thank you for this nice. So use multiple times say like one should give it the lower taste, and he can give when he gets the sun high taste. And the lower taste is in the material world, which is the highest thing, that is sex, like the topmost gem. That is the lowest taste. And the people, and so Jiva is going through many life, and he is getting engrossed and getting entangled in and he feel in this life only I am satisfying, I am enjoying. Others are not. But whatever body he's getting, he goes into ignorance and feel like this is the top. Like you gave an example of Indra also. How in the so one should understand this. And as soon as we understand, immediately we should start practicing.
हरे कृष्ण। ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
One small question: how this high taste like?